morning show. It is your host, Mr. Just As Joe, and yours truly, once again, my brother from another mother, brother John Yah. How you doing there, family?
I'm good, brother. How about your stuff this morning?
Oh man, I am doing good, doing good. Just a little recovery this week, but doing good, man, doing good.
Man, I heard you had an accident. I saw the pics. Man, it tore that wheel up, didn't it?
Oh man, it tore up that whole front right side of the car and ended up totaling the vehicle because the transmission was damaged. There was so many internal parts in that vehicle that was damaged. It was actually the you know how a lot of those semi trucks have that thin pole that's kind of like a bumper on the end, man. The car lost control, or I lost control, or the car spun out basically. The other day, if you guys remember, it was raining cats and dogs around the city, like a monsoon almost, and getting onto the Gene Snyder, onto that on ramp from Preston, and getting on there, man. Car just, I don't know, caught a puddle, something. I don't know. But either way, it spun out. We ended up, we were about to T-bone a trailer, a semi truck. And, in my mind, it's funny, I go through it in slow motion, but in my mind, I was sitting there thinking, that ain't gonna happen. And I was able to turn the wheel once again, and instead of us T-boning that semi truck, we ended up turning all the way around, almost facing the oncoming traffic, and the truck ripping us right there in the front right side of the vehicle, and it kind of turned us back around, facing oncoming traffic as that truck came by and hit us. And it was a trip, man. What was interesting though was how many people, we're sitting in the middle lane on traffic. I can't cut the car on to move back and forth. I press the start button, and all I'm seeing is brake fluid error, transmission error. All the errors in this electronic vehicle are popping up, and people are stopping by, because a lot of people didn't see as they were driving up. They didn't see that front right side.
Oh,
But they were driving and slowing down and stopping, getting out of their vehicles to check and see if we were all right. And
that's
so
good.
shout out to the city of Louisville, Kentucky, for in that moment being so compassionate.
Great, great. So you was okay, you and your son?
Yep, my son was with me, and I was actually on my way taking him to work, and everybody was okay. My son did go to the ER later on after work to get checked out, because he was talking about a headache, but ultimately, little body aches here and there. We both had our seatbelts on, so shout out to seatbelt safety. But it was tough. It was tough in the moment, and at that time, all you have is adrenaline running. And the biggest question was, man, who do I call first? After I call the police, then who do I call first? So I called the insurance company, because I'm sitting here thinking in my head, I'm like, dude, I done put a bunch of protection on here. I got the Premier AAA. I got an extended warranty outside of the warranty that I paid for. So I'm just sitting here like, all right, who all do I call? Full coverage insurance, and I tell you what, man, it pays to have that full coverage because they tightened me up. They got me a rental car. They got the tow truck together. They took care of it all, man. It was like concierge. Shout out to Geico.
Yeah,
Need to get
right. It's
Geico as
good
a
to have that.
sponsor. Geico, if you
Right.
listen, we need y'all as a sponsor. Man,
Yeah,
so
it's good to have.
with that in mind, man, we got an amazing show this week, right?
Yes, we do.
We have an awesome interview with a realtor later in the show, which when you guys think about it, the market right now, over the last year to now has really changed. You went from properties being very minimal in price to now kind of shooting up once again. And I mean, I'm hearing things like you can barely even find like as soon as a property goes on the market, man, it's getting sold. And I think what's happening is a lot of people got into real estate investing uh, more than anything else. So we'll hear from that young lady later in the show more about the real estate market right now. But you know, current events, man, this week, your boy, Mr. Jello Pudding himself, done, done crept his way out, you know, after years of having fun and saying, "Hey, young lady, would you like a little bit of this Jello pudding?" You know, having his fun, you know, and now he's back out, man. He's back out. What you think about that?
Man, I love it. I'm glad he's free. I think it was a miscarriage of justice. I think also it was a lynch mob after him. So there's a lot of people that are emotionally involved in that because it triggered specifically a lot of people, women and men, who have been abused or sexually abused one way or another, wanted to see this man go to prison because it was connected to their emotions, right? Everybody looked at the evidence and whether or not it was feasible. Thank God for the court system, the Supreme Court, to see the error and reverse that. Because here's the thing, man, a lot of black men are in prisons for crimes they didn't commit. There's a lot of black men, there's a lot of men, period, are in crime for rape they didn't commit. Now my head goes off, my heart goes to all women who were sexually abused, grown and children, okay? So I don't excuse none of that. However, when it comes to justice, it's a different ball game of the evidence that need to be proven that the person did the crime. And what they did was a miscarriage of justice. They knew they were doing something wrong, and they were after him just because the prosecutor wanted to make a name for himself.
Yeah, you know, and that is what I guess a grave majority of people, you know, think in the same exact way. But with that in mind, you know, there's two sides to this. And okay, so he was wrong. He did some things, but you know, as he stated, upholding the letter of the law is you know, he said shout out to Pennsylvania Supreme Court for that. With that in mind, is it right? You know, is it okay that he's out? You know, after maybe he did some things, but you know, hasn't. Some would say he hadn't paid for the crimes yet.
Well, listen, here's the thing about how it works, okay? So, you know, you and I and everybody else who wasn't there, who was not in the room with him, don't know whether he did this or did not. So I'm saying is that I've stayed neutral. What I'm looking at is the evidence of the court, because that's all you got. You got nothing but the evidence. You can sit there and say that, okay, because, and here's what really happened. In the one of the first original cases where he had not pled guilty, but he had admitted giving these drugs to this woman, and this was the thing back then. And not excusing it because it was, but here he gave this woman, but there wasn't enough evidence to prove it in the criminal court. So she filed a lawsuit, and so when you file a lawsuit, for many reasons, people settle out of court. They don't want to extend it. They don't want it to be all blown out in the public. So he settled it, and so it seems like that is one thing that people who do these commit these acts of filing these crimes against individuals who are wealthy is really what they after. The case will go away if you speak money. You can talk about that with Michael Jackson's case. But here in this case, in the deposition, he admitted to giving her drugs, not admitted to raping her now, but admitted giving her drugs. Now I don't know why his lawyer had him admit to that in the deposition. However, the deposition was supposed to be closed and sealed, the way it can never be used and come up again. So this prosecutor in this case, in a whole different case years later, totally different accuser, come up with this, and then they pull the statement that was supposed to have been sealed and use that in this court to do what? To inflame the jurors, but they also inflamed the whole media, everybody, the viewers, because here's the thing. This became a lynch mob. This is no different than Emmett Till whistling at a white woman, right? To where it became a lynch mob, and you tell everybody that he done raped and sodomized or did something crazy, and then everybody who's carries that emotion because they've been either abused one way or another, jump on the bandwagon, right? They all jump on the bandwagon, and it becomes a lynch mob. And then what you see is public. He's been tried in the public because why? The media would take leaks of information that was supposed to be in the court, and they put it out there in the media. So how can you get a fair trial? Number one. So I'm not saying he's guilty, and I'm not saying he's innocent. What I am saying is that there was a miscarriage of justice, and there's a whole lot of black men in prison because of the miscarriage of justice. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Okay, so I know we'll talk about this later in the show as well. How's business going on your end? I know you had an announcement. I don't know if you talked about it here on our show or not. I think we did last week in the after show, but go ahead and tell everybody about this new region that you're covering with your product.
Well, yeah, fortunately, I'm very fortunate in this business that I'm in. I have a friend of mine that moved to Ghana, and he's doing great work in Ghana. And on his first trip, I loaded his container up with some of my products, and he took it there, and it did very well. So we're working out thing to where we can do some pricing. So what he does, he takes containers there, and these containers that he takes there are people who are donating whatever it is you want to donate and throw away. It's being sent to Africa, Ghana, and then it is being distributed to the people there, or be reused, fixed up, whatever the case may be. And so the product sold well. They loved the product. They was asking for more. So it opened up an opportunity for him to be a distributor in Ghana for my product. So, we're working it out because the biggest problem is the shipping, not so much as what the price would be in Ghana. But the biggest problem is the shipping. And so since he's already shipping a container of other goods, my products can ride on that container also. So it was a great, and just the thought of my products in Ghana is amazing. Actually, so I'm looking forward to doing business with him and hoping to set him up well.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I definitely love hearing about that because again, as we do what we do in pushing business out here, then I love when we ourselves are doing some things. I know personally I am working on more than ever. This is something I've been thinking about and talking about for about a year now, and I'm now starting to put movement to feet on this, and it's opening up a life insurance agency. All right, so I have been a life insurance agent for some years, and recently went full time a little over a year ago, and now I've been in meetings and such here lately where I'm focused on actually opening up a life insurance agency. So,
Okay.
I'm looking for, I don't know, when you think about it, one of the things we talk about sharing wealth in our community, on other sides of the railroad tracks, it might be two guys, two houses right next to each other. They walk outside to the mailbox and, hey, Tom, how you doing? Hey, Jim, how you doing? And they have a little conversation, and Oh, how was work today? Oh, it was great. We signed up 3 clients, and there's more of a conversation about the financial aspect of life on the other side of the railroad tracks than there is on our side of the railroad tracks, right?
Exactly.
Economics is key. Economics is the answer. So, with that in mind, one of the things I wanted to focus on was being able to show more of our melanated people the opportunity to be able to get involved in the life insurance industry, and being able to come up under my agency. People can work from home, work remote, as well as work in the field, and it's truly up to them. But we're going to give them the tools necessary to do it. It's interesting. There's a whole genre of business in the life insurance industry, and it revolves around this number 8%. And I went to an 8% Nation convention last year. I didn't really fully realize what that meant until I learned the numbers this year, which is that 92% of people fail in the life insurance industry and only 8% survive.
Oh,
And
wow.
that those are some crazy statistics when you look at any line of business or work. But I think the reason why mostly, and a lot of it has to do with being able to have guidance in this industry. It is not for the faint at heart, for the weak at heart. Is definitely something where, you know, because life insurance is the one insurance that, you could be the healthiest person in the world, never use your health insurance. You can be the best driver in the world, never use your car insurance. But you going for doggone sure use your life insurance before you leave this earth, right? But so many people, when we've seen it, sitting there with a GoFundMe page and a T-shirt, trying to sell T-shirts, trying to sell plates to cover someone's funeral expenses, as they lay that person in the coffin with a pair of Jordans on. Those Jordans probably could have covered that first year. Now, now, with that in mind, I say that to say people do not value that as much, especially even on our side. Us as a people, we look at anything revolving around death as a superstition. Oh man, I ain't gonna set up that life insurance. As soon as you set up life insurance policy, you're gonna die. You know,
Man, that is crazy.
I'm telling you, man, I hear this stuff all the time, and in doing this, I look at those genre of people more so who want to prepare, because that's all it is. It's just preparing. And even if you're a part of the super religious, then the Bible says a good man takes care of his kids. So it's all talking about generational wealth. So ultimately, that is one way to do it and pass down money to the next generation and leave more than debt, but actually leave a legacy. So I'm gonna start that agency up, man, and it's gonna be great.
One of the problems that we have when it comes to life insurance, we don't look at it. And this deals with investment also. A lot of times we as a people, and I don't want to say we, I want to use the word we in dealing with the race of us, or in the melanated people. I want to say people with the lack mindset. Those who have a lack mindset, meaning living check to check. They don't see themselves as having the ability to put money to the side, because why? Because they only want to see their return right now. They want to see their return in this lifetime. So they don't see that they are making an investment for their children by being able to put money away. Because here's the thing. This is how you build generational wealth. It is not for you. I've watched millionaires in Cincinnati buy up some land, and probably was a few billionaires. Buy up some land in downtown Cincinnati, on Vine Street, 30 years ago. And now it's being developed within the last 5-6 years. So what do? They put that money away, and they don't see that money return. They ain't got the investments back on that whole gentrification that's going on in Cincinnati right now. It's because it's not for them. It is for their children's children. See, we don't think like that. We don't think 20, 30 years ahead. Or we barely think a year ahead or 5 years ahead. I mean, you got wealthy people, I think, in 20, 30, 40, 50 years ahead. They're not going to be here when they start turning in, but they're doing it for their children. That's how we got to look at life insurance. If you're living check to check, if you are struggling, you have to be able to find a way to lower your expenses, be able to put some money away, specifically if you got children, find a way to put money away that's hanging over your head. Yes, when you die, you done left something for your family. They ain't struggling. They ain't, it gives them an opportunity to live a better life than you led them in by living check to check. And at least at some point, they'll be able to have some wealth that they could do the same thing for their children.
Bro, you hit the nail on the head, because it's just interesting, the conversations that I have, man, because so many people are just like that. They don't, and I mean, you'd be surprised at how many people retire that I talk to. They retire. So you mean tell me you spent 30 years, 20 years on a job that you retire from. And it's not until after retirement that you realize that your life insurance doesn't follow you.
Right.
I mean, all them years on that job, and that part of it that you were paying for, or maybe it was free, you didn't realize that it didn't come with you. I mean, I've had conversations with people who say, I thought life insurance was for old people. Are you serious? I mean, are you serious? Come on, man. You thought it was for old people. Listen, folks, if I write you a policy today and you pay your first premium today and you die tomorrow, guess what? That $20,000 whole life insurance, or that $150,000 term policy pays out.
Me, Sean Daniels on line one. Me, Sean Daniels.
It pays out because ultimately it is a situation where we have set up a policy that see, the insurance company is obligated. You can stop paying, and 30 days later they'll stop insuring you. But if you've made your payment and you die, guess what? The insurance company is obligated to pay. So think about that. You pay a $50 premium for a $100,000 policy, and next thing you know, you get paid out. Your family gets paid out. I mean, come on, dude. Like, that's like one of the best investments in the world.
But one of the things in some products invention, when you have a product, there's two things that people worry about in investment. It comes with you. There are certain products have to come with educating the people about the product. So that means you got to spend a campaign to educate the people about the product, to get them to buy the product. In this case, you have to educate people the importance of life insurance first. And a lot of people are unaware of the importance of it. And it's just the same way certain products need a campaign to teach you how to use it and what it's for. It's the same thing with life insurance, because we don't see the life insurance as a way that a lot of people who are underclass are able to build wealth and come up off of that wealth with their children.
Yeah, for the next generation. Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. Yep. That is my task when I'm in those situations, is to help educate people better and properly. Looks like we got a caller on the line. We'll go ahead and let the caller in there. I believe it's Mr. Mishawn Daniels. How you doing there, sir?
Hey, man, thank you for getting me in. I'm not going to take much time. Y'all talking about an industry that I'm also a licensed in the insurance business too, and the miseducation of the life insurance business has damaged our demographic of people for a very long time of our miseducation of it. And the thing is that life insurance is a tool to protect your wealth until you build wealth. And people misinterpret it. It's not for you to purchase life insurance to die. It's to protect your wealth, protect your wealth until you build wealth. And that's why my whole strategy is teaching people that you protect your current, assets until you can become self-insured through an investment portfolio. I'm going to give you an example. In 1990, when I got a life insurance policy, my wife and I needed over $250,000 worth of life insurance over both of us, $250,000 of both of us. And so that's a $500,000 policy, okay? Over the course of 20, 30 years, my wife and I, when 2020 came about, we now realized that our net worth, we was able to save our net worth. We had over $250,000 of our own resources. Do I need to buy the same amount of life insurance now 20, 30 years from now? No. Okay? Because we have our assets, okay, that is now protecting us. That's the education that we miss, okay? And that's all I want to add is that's the education that we miss about what life insurance is for. If I would have died before 20, 30 years, my wife would still been able to enjoy a certain quality of life, okay, because I had a certain amount of protection covering my assets and my income that was coming into the household. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And that's what we talk about. Life insurance, in a sense, is not for when you die. It's for when they live, meaning the people, your loved ones that you leave behind. Yeah.
So good conversation, fellas. John, I love your input in that. Me and you being up, I've been going this a lot with you. You and I being elders, man. I think a lot of us elders, our previous elders, I ain't talking about us, John. I'm talking about previous elders. They failed us, okay, by not properly teaching us. And I think that John, myself, and all of us in this area, it's my goal to do better than that. Would you agree with that, John? Can I just get an agreement that, our responsibility as the elders moving forward is our responsibility?
I don't totally grasp that understanding. Actually, I don't even try to put my category in as an elder. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't believe that my elders before me failed me. Surely my father and my grandfather didn't fail me, actually, in that sense. But however, it is that our job is to teach what we are given to hand down to the youth or those who comes after us, so that we can keep them properly informed, because information is constantly being washed away as we speak. The way our parents were and the way our grandparents were is actually being washed away. And it's just like no different than medicine and anything else, or how our mothers used to use natural things to heal us. That's being washed away, and we got to somehow find a way to pass that down, because that becomes a lost art.
Yeah, well said, man. I appreciate you dropping it like that. And that's all hey, man. One of my biggest things when I say to people, why is it that our babies are suffering the way that they're suffering, when supposedly we'd have been in this country for 400 years and we're struggling the way we're struggling? I always look back and say, what did we not do good? Okay,
that's right.
Prepare our children in our way of life, okay?
That's right.
All right, man. I love y'all, man. Keep up the good work, man. Y'all take care.
All right, brother.
Good. All right, nice convo there. And I want to make sure, because we'll be having Miss Keisha, she'll be calling into the radio station here shortly. And she'll be on as well. Like I said, she will be calling in to the radio station as well here shortly. But before that, I want to make sure that we give a real big shout out to Health Daddy Wow. Brother Frank Stoner, bro, we love you. We appreciate you. www.healthdaddywow.net, home of the 100% plant-based vitamins, herbs, cleanses, and teas. They are here to help you live longer, feel better, and look great. Folks, let me tell you something. I am 132 years old, but I go to Health Daddy Wow. So I only look 25. Let me stop. HealthDaddyWow.net. Make sure y'all check them out locally, 1806 Ralph Avenue, Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Sunday, 12 noon to 5 p.m. With that in mind, folks, you got to check them out. Let them know that you heard it right here on the Tipping Point Show on WLOU. A BB Toomey trading company. That is the home of Saya Baba and Soap Sticks products. They are in over 400 locations at a store near you. You can also find it at sayababa.com. That is owned by our brother from another mother, Mr. John Ya. Again, sayababa.com. There you go. And you know what? I sent in some applause and all that stuff to the radio station, man. I gotta figure out where my MP3, MP4s or whatever that I sent in is. Do I got an applause, Jerry?
Yeah.
Jay has. Where's some applause? We need an applause button. But hey, I tell you what, right here, right now, folks, our interview with an amazing young lady, businesswoman, who John actually reached out to this week. Really good stuff she's doing in real estate and very knowledgeable as well. Miss, I believe it is Keisha Taylor.
Yes, it is.
All right. How you doing, sister?
How you doing?
All right.
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Fantastic. This is Mr. Just Ask Joe, and then you got our brother here.
Myself, John Ya. How you doing?
I'm doing good, John. How are you?
I am absolutely great this morning. Listen, let me tell you what of course, you and I are friends on Facebook, and I'm always seeing that you are always hyping these houses up for sale. And I see a different energy that I've never seen before when it comes to selling houses and the way you move. I actually felt that you do this for the love of your clients. It's as though you really want to see your clients happy in the product, and that's great because it shows your passion in it. So that's why I wanted to reach out to you and allow you to give yourself a shout out what you do. How's the selling market right now? And is it good to buy? Is this a good time to sell? So I figured you're a great person to talk to about this particular issue on the housing market. So tell us about yourself and how did you get into this selling homes?
My name is Keisha Taylor. I am a realtor with the state of Louisville. I've been licensed to sell real estate since March of 2018. I got into real estate because of my grandfather. I was raised by my grandfather, and as a little girl, I would watch him on the first of the month. We would ride with him, going around collect rent checks. So I just thought that was the coolest thing. Granddad, you get paid for people people pay you to live in your properties. I just thought that was just so fascinating, and I just grew up saying, I'm going to be like my granddaddy. I'm going to be into real estate. I'm going to have rental properties. The kid's going to pay me, to live in my properties just like my granddaddy. He was an entrepreneur my whole existence. So, I was like, I'm going to be like my granddaddy. So that's how the passion of real estate came about, just watching him flip houses, rent out houses, and so that's all I saw him do. So people ask, well, what do you do? And I like to say, I make people's dreams come true.
There you go.
And that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling, whether, it's a first-time home buyer or an investor. I'm making people's dreams come true. And that's a good feeling. So I love helping people fulfill their real estate dreams.
So right now, in this market right now, I'm noticing that this is a buyer's market. Why is that? And even with the prices going up, why is this a buying market at this time?
The interest rates are historically low. They've never been this low before. So buyers are able to get more house for their money. They're not being charged as much to borrow the money. So banks are giving them more money at a lower interest rate. So some buyers are able to, they may already own a home, their first, starter home, and instead of upgrading to, the next level, they are able to now sell the home for top dollar and automatically go to the forever home. So buyers are taking advantage of that. Buyers are taking advantage of the interest rate. There's low inventory, so that's one disadvantage against the buyer. However, the Louisville market, our home sales is up 15.8%. So in spite of the inventory being low at 47, down 47%, Louisville agents, we are doing our due diligence and doing an amazing job to help buyers get under contract. Yes, we may have to put in, 5 offers before we get one accepted, but it's happening.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's amazing. So having to put in so many offers, does that more so deter clients, or what is the feelings that you're getting from your clients as you guys are going through that process?
There's some frustration, and that's where we come in as realtors and step up. Not only are we realtors, but sometimes we have to be, a client's therapist, a cheer coach, to keep, come on, we got to keep going, just part of the process, trust the process, what's for you is going to be for you. So maybe that house just wasn't for you. So when they finally do get under contract, they love the house and they're like, oh, you were right. This is the house. I like it better than the other 4 I put in the offer on. So it ends up working out for the buyer. They have to just trust the process, trust the realtor that they're working with, and trust the process. Yes, there's going to be some frustration. We get it. And this is where we have to come in at and, talk to buyers, off the ledge a little some. And it's like, it's going to be okay. This is the way the market is right now. We got to just keep going and don't give up.
What do people need to do or to have to get a home? What type of credit score they should have? What type of down payment should they have to get a home?
So depending on which lender they decide to, finance the deal through, some lenders don't mind a credit score of 640. Of course, the better the score, the better your interest rate and the loan product you may be given. So if you go FHA, sometimes you have to put down, 3.5%. There are programs out there where they may not have to put down anything. Conventional, sometimes it can be 3.5%, 5%, 10%, 20%. It just depends on the buyer, what they're buying. If it's an investment property, yes, they're going to put down to 20%. But I've seen some lenders also allow 10% down. So it just truly depends on that lender that you finance your product through and what they're offering at that time. Because each lender offers different products, different specials, different times of the year. So I always tell my clients, just shop around. Most clients like to go to their bank, and I tell them, okay, that's fine. You can go to your bank, but also check out other mortgage companies as well, just to compare and see who's going to offer you the best product.
Absolutely. So what about the investment market right now as it pertains to real estate? With the fact that inventory is low, I mean, is that because there's more investors out there scooping up properties?
Inventory is low all across the board, from your $30,000 homes all the way up to your $450,000. I had a client who was in that price range, and we were still seeing the same effect as well. So inventory is low all across the price ranges. A lot of my investor clients have decided to wait on purchasing because they don't want to get in these bidding wars and then just drive the prices up. So I wouldn't say that inventory is low because of the investors, but they are feeling the same effect as well. When investment properties do become available, there's bidding wars over those properties as well. So every price range, every buyer is feeling the same effect as a first-time home buyer or a second-time home buyer. So I wouldn't say it's because of the investors buying everything up. They're actually dealing with the same circumstances as your home buyer who's going to live in the home.
Gotcha. So with that in mind, what is a person comes in, I noticed you said 640 credit score people will work with. The way you said it made it seem like, that is kind of a minimal goal as far as credit score is concerned. So if people come in lower than that, do you guys have a way to work with them to help raise their credit score?
Yes, I have several ladies that I know who repair credit, fix credit, also boost credit scores. So if some individuals don't mind, they're like, I got a 640, I'm not about to raise it, I want a house, I don't care about the interest rate, let's go move forward. Some individuals may say, okay, I do want to get at least to a 680 so I can try to get that conventional loan. What do I need to do? So I may reach out to, my ladies that I know who fix credit repair, and hey, I have a client, they need to boost their score, what they need to do. And, they may tell me or they may tell me to have them contact them. So sometimes the clients do go ahead and put in that work to get that score up. Sometimes they don't. As long as they get it pre-approved, they're ready to rock and roll. So, yes, there are lenders out there who, I'm not sure since COVID hit, I know a lot of things changed, but before COVID, 620, 610, there was lenders out there financing individuals with credit scores lower than a 640. I like to tell my clients, just get to a 640. If you can get there, we can do something with help you. You know what I'm saying? Just so you can have a better interest rate versus a 600 score compared to a 640 score. Your interest rate is going to be better. If you want an even better score, let's get you up to a 680. To the individual, whether or not they want to put in that time to get the score up, or just go ahead and accept the interest rate at the 640 credit score.
How was the market during COVID? Was it up or down?
It slowed down. It slowed down some when everything first kind of caught everyone by surprise. We trying to figure out what was going on. It kind of stopped all of a sudden, and then it picked back up. I say May, I was back out listing homes, selling homes, working with buyers. So just between March and May, it kind of slowed down for me. But in May, it picked right back up. We just put our mask on. Once we got everything into place, what we couldn't do, everything just picked back up. Compared to last year, we are up 15.8% compared to last May. So we did have a little halt, but then it took right back off. So
let me ask you this: Are you up higher before COVID? In other words, before COVID, whatever number was, are you up higher now after COVID? Has the market picked up more than before COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I looked at the numbers. This year, I think we're at 7,200. I think Louisville has sold 7,200 homes from January 1st to May. Last year, it was 6,000 and something. So we are definitely up compared to last year.
And is a home buying a good investment?
Yes, it's a good investment. Each person's situation is different. Some individuals buy a home and stay there forever, and then they pass it down to the offspring. Where some individuals may stay a few years, build up the equity, sell the home, pay the equity, and upgrade to their forever home. So yes, it is a good investment. Overall, it's a good investment if you set things up properly. Like, I spoke to a gentleman yesterday. I was door knocking. I asked him what he think about selling his house, and he was like, "No, ma'am, I plan on dying here." Okay. I plan on dying here, ma'am. I'm gonna leave it to my children. Okay, that's good. So he has something, a plan. He's wanted to pass his house down to his offspring. Where some individuals, they don't have things into place, and it gets tied up in probate court, and sometimes the home ends up, being lost. So the family loses out. It can be a good investment. I just think the individual needs to have a plan in place and let their family know what the plan is. That way they can honor the homeowner's wishes if something was to happen to that individual.
Good point.
That's awesome. So right now, right? As a matter of fact, we have a question from the online audience. Is there a particular lender that has been more aggressive in helping you than others that you would want to mention, like maybe a favorite lender? I know with me in life insurance, Mutual of Omaha is one carrier that I try to work with a lot as much as possible, as if I can get clients to qualify, because they do my clients right. I work well with them, and things work out great. So is there a particular lender that you like, maybe that's a little more aggressive or works with you a little bit better than others?
Yes, I actually have two lenders that I love. So Wendy Cosby, she's with Republic Bank. She deals with commercial loans. So some of my investor clients I send her way. They love the products that she offers, the rates. And then on the residential side, for my home buyers, I like to use Tony Williams. He's with Interlink Mortgage. Very professional, on top of everything. You don't have to reach out like, hey, Tony, what's going on? Or, hey, Wendy, what's going on? They keep you updated. That's one thing realtors like. We like to know what's going on, stay in the loop, and not, have to keep calling the lender saying, hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So, yes, Tony Williams with Interlink Mortgage, very professional, knows what he's doing. If he says you're pre-approved, you're pre-approved. Because I've had some deals where we didn't make it to the closing table because the financing fell through. And that's one thing you do not want to happen for your client. They get on the contract, with the home inspection, and you're on to the appraisal, and then next thing you know, the financing falls through. That's an upset to the seller. Their time has, kind of been wasted, how they feel. And the buyer's hurt, because they had a mindset on getting this home, just to find out, oh, the lender didn't properly pre-approve the client. So Tony Williams, if he says he should have pre-approved, they're good to go. Okay, Tony, thank you. Wendy, same thing. I got them pre-approved, Keisha. Here's what they can send. Call me when you find something. So Wendy Cosby with Republic Bank, she does commercial loans for investors. And then Tony Williams with Interlink Mortgage, I send my residential clients to him.
Got you. Well, awesome. That is amazing. And I tell you what, you are doing some great things out here. Is there any particular contractors that are out there doing some amazing things right about now? I noticed I saw a video with you notating some new contractors in the area. How is the building market going here in Louisville?
Well, some builders, I know Fisher Homes, I've dealt with them a lot this year and last year. They actually had to stop building. There's a waiting list for certain subdivisions because the price of lumber has skyrocketed. It's coming down some, but they have to pause on building just because of the price being ridiculous for the materials. They are starting back to build. I just tell my clients, this is the process. If you really, really, really need to move, go ahead. If you have the patience, to deal with the ups and downs of losing this offer, come on, let's do it. If you feel like you can't deal with all, the emotional roller coaster of not getting the house, submitting 5 offers and not getting the house, just sit tight if you can. Wait for, the inventory to pick up, which the inventory will most definitely pick up. Our chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, he spoke about the inventory and stated that, by fall, he sees the inventory balancing out nationally. So there's more homes coming. This is just a phase right now. With any market, it has to balance itself out. So the home market, the real estate market will also be balancing itself out soon.
Let me ask you a question. On the and this is in your field, are you seeing more? Well, let me ask you this: are most of your clients look like us?
Yeah.
Okay. So, are you seeing an increase of us buying homes now?
I am, and I'm very proud of that as well. I think we are starting to understand building wealth for our offspring. I think everyone is starting to get on board and realize we need to pass wealth down to our offspring. That's one thing my grandfather instilled in me when he passed away. Yes, he did leave a legacy. And that inspired me. I was like, well, I'm continuing this legacy. That's what my goal is to do, is leave a legacy for my children to pass down to their children. So I do see more of us coming together and getting in that mindset that we need to leave a legacy for our offspring, whether it's a piece of property that we own, we grew up in, or silver investment properties. I do see more investors coming to me saying, hey, I need to start a portfolio. I want to leave a legacy for my children, my grandchildren. So I am starting to see more investors wanting to come and start a portfolio.
Listen, this is a good point. I'm glad you brought that up specifically, and love that story about your grandfather. That reminds me of my granddaughter. I took her out to one of my stores that's filling it up, and she said, "So this is what you do, Papa?" I said, "Yeah." But the question is, when we talk about gentrification, and when we speak about that, we speak of those who have wealth to come in and buy a property and just hold on to it. And they'll maybe hold on to it and wait till the value of those area go up. Or they will buy the property to move out people on Section 8 or whatever the case may be when that contract's in. Do you see that a lot?
I do see it. And that's why I'm so happy when investors come to me saying, hey, I want to purchase. Come on, because we need to start buying up these properties as well. One person just can't do it. Several people just can't do it. We all need to, do our part somehow, some way. So I am glad to see even young investors, young as, 25, coming to me, hey, I want to start a portfolio. Can you help me? Yes, I most definitely can. Let's start here. So I'm starting to see more of us get on the same page and say, okay, we got to do something. We got to, start building portfolios to keep some of these properties in our hands, in our control.
Yes, because we was just talking about earlier before you came on about how certain people build generational wealth. They invest, but they're not going to see that. They're not going to see the return of that investment. That investment is for their children. Like I remember mentioning about Cincinnati, the gentrification that took place. These people took a 30-year. They were 30-year way ahead of buying up this property, and they just sat on it. And they sat on it and paying their taxes on it each year because they were living off their other wealth. This money they had put away, and they knew eventually it was going to flip over for them. And that's what I kind of was wanting to make aware of, is how to put away money that you're not going to see. Because most of us, when we invest, those of us, we invest and we want to see those returns while we're still alive. We ain't thinking about investing and for your great grandchildren down the road. We want to see our money now. So that's a good point that you made about that. And so with that said, is it best to buy? I don't know if you mentioned that or kind of curved that information. Is it best to buy a brand new home from the ground up or buy one already built?
I tell my clients, buy what you can afford. Whatever your budget, allows you to do it. Everyone can't afford to buy new construction. New construction, I think the cheapest new build I saw $275,000. So your first time home buyer may not qualify for $275,000. They may only qualify for $200,000. So you would need to go get a starter home and just build the equity up. 3 to 5 years, sell the home. Take the equity, and upgrade to your next home. Is how it's normally done. I've seen individuals now who are in their starter homes. Like I said earlier, they're taking advantage of it in the seller's market. They're getting $20,000, $30,000 over asking price, plus the equity that's already in the home. Yeah, plus the equity that's already in the home, so they're able to go ahead and upgrade to their forever home instead of going to the next upgrade. So it's definitely a seller's market right now for our sellers. I personally wrote offers where we done went $20,000 over the asking price, and we still did not get the home. So if anyone is out there on the fence thinking about selling, it's definitely a good time to sell, because you don't want to get caught in the shift, because it's going to shift to where the buyers have the advantage. Right now, the sellers have the advantage because there's not enough inventory for everyone. So everyone is putting offers on the same house, and the seller can just sit there and just pick the best one. And 9 times out of 10 is going to be one that's over asking price, and they're not asking for closing costs or asking for a home warranty. They're going to go with the one who's not asking for much and giving them more money. So sellers, if you're on the fence about selling, I say go ahead and sell now. Because when the shift turns and becomes a buyer's market, when we have enough inventory where buyers don't have to all be fighting over one property, they can just, sit back and make their choice. The seller don't want to be caught on that end of the stick.
Yeah, because definitely, right now, if you are someone, I've been seeing people that own several properties, own a bunch of properties, liquidating some here and there, simply because they have enough properties to do that with, and the price is right about now. I noticed even Mr. Daniels, he gave you a shout out because you helped him and his wife through their purchase of their home. And I've been out to his house. Lives in a nice neighborhood with varied range of property value out there, from 250 grand on up to some $1 million homes out there. So I love when we have someone like yourself that has the passion that they do to get out here and help make things happen for consumers, because it's not about just serving a customer, it's about wowing a customer, right? And I feel like that's what you focus on doing when you are working with your clients. So that's awesome.
Before we let you go, I want you to give a put in where they can find you, or individuals who are listening can reach out and find you.
I can be reached on all social media platforms. On Facebook, it's Keisha Taylor. Instagram is Keisha Real Estate Taylor with an underscore in between each word. Keisha underscore real underscore estate underscore Taylor. LinkedIn, Keisha Taylor. My email is ktaylor.united@gmail. They can reach me personally on my cell phone. I don't mind giving my number out, 502-718-0748. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can inbox me or just reach out on any platform. I don't mind answering questions. If I could talk real estate all day, I would.
All right. Well, that is absolutely awesome. We appreciate you being on the show with us today. And until next time, we will see you once again. Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys, and have a wonderful weekend.
All right, you too. Once again, folks, this has been yet another episode of the Tipping Point Morning Show. For those of you that are going to stick around online at the Tipping Point Radio Show, you can catch us live on Facebook. But until next time, we will see you once again on WLOUonline.com, as well as right here, 104.7 FM, WLOU Radio, here at the Tipping Point Morning Show. We'll see you next week, folks.
Peace.
Wendy.
All right. Once again, let's check.
Peace.
All right. Once again, let's check. Let's see here. All right, so John,
Yes,
what you think about that show, man?
Great. What is that? I'm hearing an echo. Is that me on my side? Let's check.
Give me 1 second. Let me back out and come back in because I'm not getting this.
Oh, I think that was me. I think that was me.
All right, are you there?
Yes, I am. That was me.
Okay, all right, great. I can hear you perfectly now. Sound is perfect. But man, great show, great build. Love talking to the young lady, Miss Taylor. And I know we talked about going deeper into the Bill Cosby thing because there's a lot of different opinions out there. And in doing so, we definitely wanted to bring on a young lady who had some opinions this week about that. And she's been in radio before, and she's I've actually personally worked with her on a show before. But we'll go ahead and bring her out, Miss Tiandra Washington. Miss Washington, how are you doing, sis?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Today?
All right.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, so I know John came to me this week and he said, "Hey, Miss Tiandra, she's I love hearing some of the things she has to say about this Bill Cosby topic." And so we were talking about that this week as well. But can any one of you give the actual rundown, of what this is all about? Let's say somebody didn't know, they were living under a rock. Let's say they were living under a rock in the woods somewhere. Let's just say they were a Mitch McConnell voter, right? And they were living under a rock in the woods somewhere, and they didn't know nothing about what was going on with Bill Cosby. They still trying to find Jell-O pudding to buy in the grocery store, and they didn't know nothing was going on. And they didn't know that America's dad became America's 30-person rapist. Let's just say somebody didn't know that was what was going on. Who can tell me? Who can inform that person?
Well, first off, never let a blind man fix you a drink.
Absolutely.
Basically, from what I understand, a lot of years ago, he was into slipping Quaaludes into women's drinks, and allegedly, because we're gonna say alleged, because we weren't there, allegedly having sex with them while they were inebriated and were not able to provide consent. Yes, I want to do this. No, I don't want to do this. And someone finally spoke up and said, "This is what has happened to me." Lots of other victims came forward. And
now, hold on. Now, when did someone say something?
I believe, what was it, back in 2004? Someone said something. Andrea Constand said something.
Okay. Now, when did the incident supposedly happen?
Back like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
I cannot remember much about the 70s, 80s, and 90s myself.
I was born in 83, okay?
I remember, me and the homies drive down the street. My boy had a Honda Civic 98, I think, and he put rims on it, 17-inch, 18-inch rims on a 98 Civic. He was bumping Mobb Deep. I remember that. But I don't remember a whole lot. I don't remember everything unless somebody points out a situation and jogs my memory. But you're saying that over let's see, 70, 80, 90, 2000, you're talking about over 30 years later.
Right.
Some people came out and said, he touched me.
Right. And you know what? When that happens, I don't tend to believe that every person that came forward that something happened, because some people just want to jump on the bandwagon. They want to be involved too. But where there's smoke, there's fire. At some point, something allegedly happened. Because we weren't there. We don't know. But what we do know is, like John was saying earlier, there was a prosecutor who wanted to make his career. It was a bit of a witch hunt. But at the same token, you want to believe women. You want to believe women. You want to stand by the victims. If they
Hold
say
on,
that,
hold on. Now, what do you mean when you say that? You want to believe
you
women?
want to believe women. You don't want to say that they are making stuff, that they are lying, that nothing happened. Something happened.
Are you saying? Okay? So, are you actually saying you want to believe the victim, not necessarily want to believe women, but you're saying you want to believe the victim?
You want to believe the victim. I mean, at the very least, something was put in a drink.
At the very, you know, yeah, you know, you know, half them people ain't go tell on they family member that, you know, molested them when they were younger, but they, you know, remember this incident and wanna jump out and tell on that. And I, you know, I get it, but when you know, we want to believe the victim, right? We want to believe, you know, I guess what you're saying, we want to believe that a person didn't take a whole bunch of time and resources from, you know, from the community to dictate a lie.
Correct.
So we want to believe that something happened here.
Something happened. At the very least, something was put in a drink, at the very least. Now, you know, I remember Janice Dickinson came forward and she said he stole my innocence. And if you're familiar with Janice Dickinson and the word innocence just don't go hand in hand. So she's one of those people like, maybe, but something
being
happened.
A female and having the last name Dickinson is tough anyway. So, you know.
But you know what? I can speak from a personal experience. I was molested as a child, and I'm okay sharing that now. I was about 8 years old, and it was a relative. And it took me until in my 30s before I was comfortable enough to come forward and say something. So you can't really say, well, why did they hold that in that long? Because that's one of those things that, you know, it all depends on the person. Everybody handles things differently. So we can't really victim shame them for not saying anything before.
But should we legal shame them?
No.
Because I mean, how long does a person have to be able? I mean, is that fair? Like, people get older, they change their lives, they did stupid things when they were younger, and then over 30 years later, you know, have to face, you know, legal action.
Well, you know,
for that thing from 30 years ago.
There's two sides to that. So you got to think about it. Like, yes, statute of limitations obviously has ran out. This was a very long time ago. Why are we punishing him now? But then also you got to look at the victim. Like, this person has had to live with the fact that this happened to them all those years ago. And they may think about it every single day. Their life has never been the same since that happened. So it's two sides to that. So while, you know, it's the right thing to do to release him, to free Bill, because he was locked up, you know, he got free on the technicality. And it's the correct thing. They upheld the law by releasing him. But at the same time, Bill was the boogeyman in the closet, the monster under the bed for a lot of years, and he got away with it.
Man, what you think, John? You know, the boogeyman under the bed, the monster in the closet that got away on a technicality. And you know, it's interesting that you even pointed out, you know, real quick, John, before I say this, before you jump in. But you know, Tiandra, you pointed out that you were you know, dealt with wrong sexually when you were younger. You know, I personally, I mean, man, as I've dated, you know, as I've dated throughout my years, I probably only know of maybe one woman that I seriously dated that has not told me that she was molested when she was younger. But damn near every other woman has had that incident. Something happened to them, you know, whether it was an actual rape or whether it was molestation. And a lot of times when you know, women are younger, especially when they're children, the family doesn't believe them
correct
as much. But you know, I find that quite interestingly odd, that I've dated a variety of women through the years, and I can only think of one that I seriously dated that has never told me that, and I wonder if that's just because she never told me, but John, what do you think about that? The monster in the closet, the boogeyman under the bed that got off on a technicality.
I'm going to categorize this. I'm going to put it in certain categories because it needs to be placed in certain categories, opposed to making a blanket statement. Okay, you make blanket statements. This is when the injustice comes. Okay, so let's move away from the fact of an adolescent or a child being molested and raped and kept their mouth shut and didn't say nothing because they didn't understand how to talk, how to express it, or was afraid to express it, or intimidated to express it. Okay, but I want to stick to the one that's a grown ass woman. Okay, and so first, before I start there, let me say this: Bill Cosby. No doubt, what you are saying, that I don't believe that a person is totally innocent and how they brought this into their life, a situation of being even claimed to be accused of rape. I always say this is what I say, and even in the legal part, and even when someone will come to me, and I have been working for an attorney, so I understand when people come to me and tell me about the crime that they've been accused of committing. And what I always ask is this question: do you see where you may have contributed to it? Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. Okay, so you got a guy and a woman, they hook up, and they go out, they've been knowing each other just briefly, whatever the case may be, right? And so they get into a situation where they're getting ready to have sex, and they starting to have sex, and she wants to stop and she wants to quit, but he doesn't quit. So now they call it date rape. So he'll go, well, I didn't rape her. And I would ask, did you contribute to it? What does that mean is that what can you say that you are to blame of? The same way for the woman who would allow herself to wear loosely clothes to go out with a man she just met and go and spend a night with him, like Mike Tyson and the young lady went to his room late at night. The question I would have to ask her is that, what role did you play in this? Was it just totally ignorance, or ignoring something, or denial, or ignorance? But there's got to be some role you took where you would actually, as a grown person, go up to a man's room because he called you or because he's a celebrity. Look at R. Kelly. R. Kelly had a slew of women, young women. Nobody's asking for IDs. Young women knocking on his door, his dressing room door.
I think that was the requirement with R. Kelly is you can't even bring your ID with you.
Right.
You're not allowed.
I have a whole lot of opinion on the R. Kelly situation.
And you still have some parents playing a role in sending their kids to R. Kelly. Mm-hmm. My question is, there's not no 100% blanket here, statement that you can make, because you got to ask yourself, what role did you play as a grown person that caused that to happen? And now, because I don't believe that something happened and somehow you didn't call that to you. Now, as a child, that's a different story. I'm speaking towards adults. Yes, no doubt for a fact, Bill Cosby had a sex problem. If you had to give a woman a Quaalude to get her knocked out to have sex, you got a damn sex problem. I don't care if the woman says she wants to take a Quaalude to get knocked out for you to have sex with her. You got a sex problem. So I'm not going to throw it out the way and act like he ain't got no sex problem. But on this point of just the same as Michael Jackson, sleeping with kids, and okay, he's wrong for putting kids in his bed. But the parents are wrong for sending their kids to his ass or putting them in his bed. So we gotta look at this from a two-part situation here. Now, dealing with the court system, the technicality part, that's a different ball game. That's a different category, because you have to play by the law. And there are a whole lot of men in prison because nasty-ass women just wanted to do that to them and have them put in prison. Carl Price himself said he threw out cases that didn't have merits, that didn't even make sense of the person accused this person of rape. There has been statements about, should a woman go to jail if she was lying about someone's rape? And I said, hell yeah, she should go to jail. She caused his life to be disrupted. So I'm not going to make a blanket statement, nor am I going to put him in the category of being a monster, because here's why. There's a lot of women out there that would chase a brother down because he's got money. And they will open up their legs to him. And just because they didn't get the relationship they wanted, the first they want to scream is a victim. I found a problem with that, and I'm not going to deny that. However, with that said about women who are victims, yes, you shouldn't wait as a grown-ass woman to speak out on something and wait years down the line and say, hey, I was molested or I was raped too. No, you should have the ability to speak out now about it while it's going on. Because what it does, it makes it look like after the person became a millionaire, it makes it look like you're chasing only his money. Because if Michael Jackson wasn't wealthy, if Bill Cosby wasn't wealthy, if R. Kelly wasn't wealthy, would he have so many women throwing themselves at him? No, of course not, right? So we got to keep it real. I'm not gonna dismiss any woman that was abused by sex. I have been incarcerated before. I've seen quite a few men guilty as hell of the crime. And I've seen a lot of men was not guilty of the crime. So you can't dismiss those parts also, that are young men in prison right now for crimes they didn't commit. So you have to thank the justice system for being able to look at this technicality or this flaw in the court system to reverse a case and pull a man out of prison that did not commit the crime. So I'm not going to make a blanket statement because, again, these things are categories. I have to look at the category, and this is what the courts does when you allow a person to be accused, and the accuser has a right to present their side of the story.
Okay. So when we look at that, right? When we look at that, then what do you think, Tiandra, I guess I'll ask you, what do you think when you hear that rhetoric or that side of this conversation?
Honestly, I don't want to blame the victim, like you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation. And you have to look at it like this. This is Bill Cosby we're talking about. So you go up to Bill Cosby's room and you think that things are going to go one way, and then you wake up the next morning and you discover that he slipped you some things and he did things to you without your consent. So at the end of the day, regardless of what you went to that room for, I don't think that anybody went to his room with the intention of being drugged out of, and incoherent and not able to consent to what was going on.
Well, let's think about that day and time. He was. I mean, it was the 70s, and that's what they did. They back then you get drugged up, drunk, and you have sex. I mean, that's kind of what the way. I mean, I'm not gonna say that every woman went up there to get advice. I mean, they weren't looking for. They didn't go up there because they were trying to talk to Heathcliff.
Exactly. They weren't looking for advice. I don't think they were looking to be like, I'm gonna lay here like a dead body while you do what you want to do to me either.
Maybe they went up there because they wanted to get introduced to Theo from Theo Huxtable or Claire Huxtable.
I'm sure they were looking for pudding pots.
They probably were. Hey, would you like a little bit of this jello pudding pot?
You gotta think about it like this is Bill Cosby. Like, he's got a lot of money, power, and influence. That can be very intimidating to a woman to say, I'm gonna come forward against him, because who are they gonna believe, you or him? He's got all this wealth, power, and influence. So that's intimidating in itself, and that could be why women didn't come forward.
Man, but 30 of them though, 30 women. You talk about people from different areas and aspects of life.
Well, speaking about as well, you're right. That's a reason for women to not come forth because intimidated, but that's a reason for a lot of women to come forth because of itself.
Oh yeah, for a payday. That's what
Yeah,
says you can't
exactly.
believe everybody because some of it could be a shakedown.
That's right.
Not, like the whole R.
Right.
Kelly situation, that right there, that's a shakedown. Now everybody was okay with that until the money ran out. Once the money ran out, it was like, oh, I haven't heard from my daughter in 3 years. I'm very concerned about it. You weren't concerned about her when those checks were clearing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. See, that's the problem.
You were not concerned. So in my opinion, on the R. Kelly thing, yes, he belongs in prison for messing with those underage girls, but so do the parents because you sold your children.
Well, see, that's the problem. R. Kelly, he should have had some Jell-O pudding pops. He could have helped compensate for the money. When the money ran out, listen, here's Jell-O pudding pop from my friend Bill Cosby. But I mean, let's just think about that. So R. Kelly's case is clear. It's definitely I agree, definitely the parents. But they probably just gonna say, look, I sent her there because I wanted to get her vocal cords worked on. She got her vocal cords worked on, I'm sure. Yep. Got them all worked on. Yep. Sprayed with grease and everything. With that in mind, then with this case, this is just tough, man, because y'all put America's dad in prison. He's like 100 years old. The man. But what about the conspiracy surrounding it? Because there's a lot of conspiracy surrounding it, and that's kind of the thing that is kind of interesting. Is the conspiracy surrounding it? There's a lot. Y'all heard about that. He was trying to buy NBC.
I heard
and
that.
So in trying to buy NBC, it was said that maybe he was put in all of this was thrown at him and thrown on him as a way to say, no, nigga, you can't buy no damn NBC. Fuck you for even thinking about that. What's wrong with you?
I've heard that.
That thing about the conspiracy, those are people that who let me put it this way. We always try to find a reason why we're in this condition. And we always want to call it the boogeyman. So there's some big boogeyman out here that's pulling strings to keep us in this condition. About the conspiracy thing, about him trying to buy NBC. Listen, that was in the 80s. And NBC is owned by a lot of shareholders. All they had to say was no. It ain't like he could force the payment or anything. So why would it be a conspiracy? And if there's a conspiracy, who's pulling the strings? The local prosecutor in the case of the original case where the deposition was pulled, that was supposed to have been sealed, there was no conspiracy then, because if they wanted him, they would have got him. Why did they not have enough evidence to charge him on the criminal level, but went after him civil? And the only reason why a lot of people settle out of court on civil, because they're trying to save millions of dollars. Look at Michael Jackson, how many times he settled out of court because he didn't want to go to court and lose millions of dollars, so he settled out for a few minutes, right? So in a sense, the court system plays a role in people being charged and how people go forth. But I don't believe in no conspiracy that there was anybody was after Bill Cosby on that notion. I don't see Bill Cosby nor Michael Jackson a serious threat to the power to be enough to where they will put attention on him and try to get him in prison. That don't even make sense to me. However, what that showed me, what I saw was a prosecutor looking to make a name for himself. And here he had an opportunity to pull a woman who was making this claim, but didn't have enough evidence to prove it. So what did he do? He goes and pulled a deposition that was supposed to have been sealed and shut away, right? And never supposed to have been released. And pulled a deposition about a whole different case. And then poured it in this jurors. And so once the juror heard it, the jurors' minds became tainted with information that should have been inadmissible. Right. And so the Supreme Court did the right thing by ruling that should not have been allowed to pull a recording that was supposed to have been sealed evidence, talking about a totally different case. So in other words, that particular evidence was to be used to inflame the juror's mind that he's guilty on something they had no evidence to prove he was guilty. right? So this is how the game is played. We just got to understand how the court works. Doesn't mean he's guilty of it just because they found him guilty, nor does it mean he's innocent just because they released him. But what I'm saying is there's a technicality there that played a role, and the court system plays that role in how they looked at the case. If there was a conspiracy, he wouldn't have been out. In fact, he would have been under the jail.
Exactly.
If there was some type of rule or some type of ruler out here like the Illuminati, which a lot of people love that story, right? Some type of group of people that's keeping you down. I just so disagree with that. That is what we call viewing things from a victim mind. You know, we have a victim mindset, and in that victim mindset, we feel so stuck that the only reason why we're in this condition because there's some big power that's stopping us from getting wealth. And if you get wealth, you're going to have to sign your life over to some Illuminati that's going to own you for the rest of your life. You know, these things are trigger words to keep us from progressing in life. So no, I don't believe in no conspiracy thing against him. I just believe he fucked up and was fucking with too many women and allowed that to happen. He had a wife. He should have kept it. He should have kept all. Listen, when you get wealthy, you got to keep your ass away from people. Quit allowing people into your life so easy. Stick with your wife. Travel with your wife. Everywhere you should go, you should take your wife with you. In case some old floozy ass woman say she raped me, say my wife was with me tonight. What do you mean I raped you?
Yeah,
so I think men who are wealthy need to fucking learn to be careful of who they bring into the space.
This was just the chickens coming home to roost. This was not a conspiracy theory. And you're absolutely right. Keep it in your pants, Bill. Next time, keep it in your pants.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you know what? And that happens a lot with men who have money and influence. Look at Kevin Hart. It was a shakedown. That's all it is. It's a shakedown. And if you don't put yourself in that position, you get shook down, it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
If you don't put yourself in this position, your chickens will not come home to roost.
Yeah.
Exactly. Your chickens will just lay eggs like they supposed to.
Yeah.
Right.
You know how many women be after Denzel Washington? Oh, would just love to come up to his hotel room when he's out of town somewhere. But see how he blocks that shit. No, I got my wife here. No, you know, you got to do that because there are some women out here that will try to set you up. No doubt about it.
What happens if you say, I got my wife here, and then they say, okay, great. The more the merrier.
Well, but you got your wife to protect you. You think she's gonna
that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. Because that's the point. You get once you start getting wealth, you gotta move differently. You can't move the same way when you start gaining wealth. You can't hang around the same people. You can't hang on the same corner. You just can't behave the same way. Nor can you sit around and just because you like having sex, start having a lot of women around you. And giving quaaludes and trying to get drunk with. You just can't live like that. So yes, in a sense, Bill Cosby brought this on himself, no matter how many years he came. But it doesn't mean he's guilty. But what it does mean, he was a freaky ass Jello man.
Exactly. And you said no matter how many years he came. Is that what you said, John?
Sounds like it came a lot of years.
That's no matter. He was coming for 30 years. That's a long time.
What I'm saying is, no matter how long ago it was, what I'm saying is that this man had a lifestyle that was in a culture, and it went against him in the long run.
I'm just trying to think. You know, I mean, he had access to Jello pudding pops for years. You know. I'm just trying to think of what that looked like in his trailer when he was dropping quaaludes in people's drinks, you know, and he walk up to a young lady, you know, with a Jello pudding pop, talking about some, you know, you want some of this.
The quaalude was in the Jello.
Oh man!
But from a woman's perspective, and looking at this with the movement of Me Too movement. And this is interesting. I would love for you to answer this here. Inside the Me Too movement, you also have inside of that the women's lib movement. Okay. And so you have the I don't need a man, let's get a man, let's attack a man, let's destroy a man. And then you have those who jump on that bandwagon. But here's the thing. It is like all these priests that are walking around that have been molesting children for years. And then you have grown men come up and they'll say, hey, they was molested by a priest. Most of the people in the Me Too movement are people who have been sexually abused or molested or raped one way or another. And a lot of them never got to prove their case in a court, never got to face their accuser or none of that. And so they carry that emotion and carry that emotion without getting any help, without getting any healing. And then when they see a case like this come up, they jump on board and want to now lynch him through, or lynch a person through media. What do you say about that? I know you mentioned about you're going through a situation. Do you carry that also resentment of that sort of what I'm saying in the case of not getting healed? Because if you have went through that and you're carrying it, that only identify some healing because it's only in memory and it doesn't exist in this moment. And in fact, neuroscience says if you keep thinking about something over and over again, it'll bring it back into your life again, one way or another. So when you think about that, shouldn't it be that we need some healing in our community? Because another
absolutely. You know, and you know, in our community,
let me finish this thought real quick.
Okay,
let me finish it. In our community, in our Black community, there is a whole lot of incest or molestation going on in our families, and we know about it, and we sweep that shit under the rug. And we should be calling out Uncle Bob or whatever the case may be if he touched the niece or whatever. You know, he should be called out. We shouldn't be sweeping this under the rug like it doesn't exist because it's increasing more and more. And then these women or these young girls grow up with somehow a disdain feeling, not only towards their uncle who did it, but other men also. And that can carry with them without them healing that one thing about themselves. But go ahead with your point.
You know what? In our community, we stigmatize seeking help and going to therapy and doing the work. And so in my particular case, it was a female relative. It was an older cousin who had molested me. So I don't hold feelings towards men, but yes. I did seek therapy and I did get the help. I did do the work and I did heal. So to answer your question, like, you know, it's up to you as an individual to do the work and move past that. And so not, you know, saying, so let that be a part of your past, but not let that define you.
Gotcha.
So, you know, I mean, when it all boils down to it, no matter, you know, whether you tell on the person, bring them to justice or what have you, it's an incident that happened. And it's still up to you to do the work
exactly
in order to make your life better.
Exactly.
So, and that's a lot of what we speak to here on the show is the fact that, hey, you know, you have to focus on doing what you need to do in order to make your situation better. It all boils down to you. You know, we have free will. So you can go left, you can go right, you can go straight, you can go backwards. But it's all up to you. You know, you have control, full control, in order to make your life better. You know, if you see things in your life not going right and you asking yourself, why does this always happen to me? Well, think about, you know, what you're calling into your life. A lot of people don't realize the things that are coming out their mouth every day that affect them days later.
Exactly.
You know, I know people that sit around and say, man, in wintertime, I always get sick in the winter. I always get this day. Well, guess what? They always they be just what they say.
Exactly. The power of life and death is in the tongue. And once we realize that, you will always have what you say.
That sounds like something that Bill Cosby would have said right when he was getting ready to jump on these women. But, you know, you're right when you talk about that. So it's definitely important. Guys, it's been a fantastic build. I wanted to just jump on here for a little bit because I know, you know, there's a lot going on today. You know, we are actually jumping out, not in celebration. And it's funny, you know, I didn't even really think about the fact that, you know, this was July 4th weekend. But, you know, 2 weeks ago, a few of us melanated folk jumped out on the houseboat and, you know, we enjoyed it so much that we said, you know what, me and my partner said, let's start a boating club. So, and that's what we did. And we, you know, I didn't want to call it Black boating club or what have you. So what we called it was Louisville's Progressive Boating Club. And in the description of it, we said that this is an opportunity to introduce more melanated people to the boating community, is what we described it as. And it's interesting because, I mean, man, in the boating community, it's different. It's just you have a boat, therefore now you're part of this club. And when you're out there, you waving at people. It don't matter whether you black, white, yellow, or blue, or don't matter whether they're black, white, yellow, or blue. It's just you got a boat, so you rock with us. Whoever needs help gets it. You know what I mean? It's somebody there that's gonna help you out on the water. And I've seen it plenty of times, hanging around my partners with boats, and it's awesome. So we said, you know what, we need more of us. Because we had such a great time, great conversation, great everything. We said we need more of us, and that was 2 weeks ago. And it just so happened that this was the weekend that we chose to kind of get together and go out. So we're celebrating us as a people getting through 2020 in general versus celebrating 4th of July. We just carrying Juneteenth on through the rest of the year. That's what this is. But if anybody wants to roll with us today, then hey, shoot me a message, Mr. Just Ask Joe, and you're welcome to come. We're gonna have food, and we're gonna enjoy some good times, good fun, good music, good conversation. All right. Anybody else got anything going on today?
No, but I do want to at least make a comment on the about the family. When we just was talking about the family, reminded me, want to tell the listeners that if you have a daughter, and especially men, you should be very diligent in being in your daughter's life and protecting your daughter, because it's very important that the first man the girl, a young lady, should see as her father. And that's the first love she should receive from a man should be from her father, so that she doesn't grow up chasing other men for attention or any needs that the father should have gave her. And I think it's very important. When I had my daughter, I raised her, got custody of her when she was 3 years old. And one of the things I focused on most was to go on daughter's dates as she's got older. We would take Fridays and go on daughter-father dates. I would do things for her that she can know how a man should treat her. Secondly, and most important, to make sure nobody touched her. When a father's present in a daughter's life, uncles or whoever won't put their hands on the little girl, right? They only do that when the father's not present and there's not another man to seek retribution from it. So it's extremely important for you guys who's got daughters to be in your daughter's life. Speak to your daughters every day. Make sure, I used to do this. I do it with my grandbaby too. When my grandbaby goes to the daycare, every day I get a chance to see her or talk to her. I asked her several things. How was your day? What you do in school? Did you cry today? Anybody mess with you? Did everybody treat you nice? Anybody put their hands on you? I answer that in a funny way and just listen to her answer, every time I ask her, right? Because I want to make sure she's able to talk to me and tell me that nobody's putting fear in her heart. So those of you who's got daughters, men, I'm talking to men, is that it's extremely important that you be in touch with your daughter to prevent your daughter from growing up and getting this disease and this illness that she has to live with for the rest of her life that could ruin her. So I wanted to make that point to men who has daughters, to be very diligent in looking out, taking care of your daughter.
Absolutely. And I make a conscious effort to believe my kids first over anything else. It pains me when I hear these stories. And in a lot of cases, what I hear is mama's boyfriend or, family member, but it's you're right. Daddy is not as present, but mama didn't believe her when she came forward with this information. And especially when it's a mama's boyfriend that did the dirt, then it's definitely a situation where in a lot of cases, she's not being believed, or it was her fault because she was being too sassy. And I've heard that too. But, I will rip the esophagus directly from the throat cavity of any man that ever thinks, if we walk by and I hear you think it, I'm going to rip your esophagus out. So, exactly, as I should. I pity anyone that even thinks wrong about my kids in that manner. But either way, man, great bill, great show. We definitely gonna have to continue this. Tiandra, it was great having you on. Thanks, and looking forward to maybe seeing you a little bit more around these parts.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Well, folks, we will see you next week once again at the Tipping Point Morning Show.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.